on the way. So first of all, from Korea, it's gonna be Surrender.
Surrender looking to follow in the footsteps of teammate Hoi, becoming our second representative of Planet Odd. And his opponent, representing the Americas and Canada, looking for that dream final against his teammate Orange. It is Purple.
Yeah, Purple, like you said, really wanting to get to the finals there. And a lot of the smack talk's been going between these two close friends. But to beat him, he has to get through. Surrender first. Slightly missing the handshake there, but it doesn't matter. Let's get this first semi-final underway.
Semi-final number 1. Purple versus Surrender.
The first time around was just like, yeah, whatever, I qualified, and I don't know, I didn't realize exactly what I was getting myself into. This time around, I know all the ramifications, I know what it means, and I guess it means a whole lot more given how much effort I put into this, given how much, I know how many people are actually cheering for me. I just really want to win.
우승할 수 있다면 더
I really do want to win, and one of the primary reasons is I want to be recognized more. I want more people to think of me when they think of Pro Hearthstone.
Purple versus Surrender. Ready, set, go!
Semi-final number 1. As you mentioned previously, Sol, we have an amazing top 4.
Yeah.
It's going to be great to see these matches played out so we can crown a summer champion. Purple versus Surrender.
And it's a pleasure, as we take a look at the deck list here, to be able to watch these top 4 play off against each other, knowing that all 4 of them are already qualified. Because, you know, some of the series we've just watched, Tom versus Purple, Orange versus Pavel, they were fantastic spectacles as Hearthstone series, but it was sad to know that it meant one of them was not going to Worlds.
It was, yeah, and then let's take a look at these bans very quickly. Purple's Rogue is out of there. No Tempo Rogue for Mr. Purple, and the Jade Druid is gone for Surrender. Not too much of a surprise there with the bans, especially just because of the way Surrender's Murloc Paladin was pretty much always going to be left open, because Purple has some pretty decent answers to that himself. But let's go with game number 1. Purple on the Shaman, and Surrender on his Rogue.
Yeah, no messing around, straight into the games, but these are still very serious stakes for these players. We are still playing out for the title of Hearthstone Summer Champion, and as I mentioned in the intros, both of these players have their own motivations. Surrender sat back and watched Hoi take home the seasonal championship in Shanghai last time around. He's looking to be the second representative of Planet Odd.
Just look at Surrender's happy face.
To achieve
Just
that
a
feat.
happy guy. Sorry to interrupt, but it's just a great face.
In the meantime, Purple is looking for that dream final against his teammate. Sorry, it's not his teammate, his practice partner and good friend, Orange.
Not the best opening hand there with the patches draw, but everything else seems to be coming together so far for Purple. Even just Barnes into Thrall isn't exactly a bad follow-up. Whereas Surrender is on the coin, which is also a nice advantage for him since he is playing Rogue. Now the choice between coining Edwin Van Cleef just to make a 4-4 versus the SI to kill the 1-1 Murloc and challenge the Primal Fin Totem. What are you fancying here? Or just Dagger?
It's close. I mean, coining out the South Sea now doesn't immediately impact the board state in the way he'd really like. He can take out the 1-1, but the Primal Fin hangs around to keep on generating value. It does allow him to deal with that problem a very high percentage of the time on the next turn. Coining Edwin, on the other hand, gives him the immediate contesting of the 0-3 on board with the 4-4 and a very unlikely target to die. Also, Edwin, not a card you really ever all in on in this matchup because of the immediate threat of Devolve coming back at you the other way. So 4-4 Edwin with the coin is usually quite high value.
Yeah, I think it seems pretty reasonable. The SI would be okay as well. Or it could just take it really slow, hold the coin, and just go for a dagger into the 1-1. And that is often the play as Rogue.
Yeah, daggering on 2 with Tempo Rogue, as far back as time goes, has often been a strong play, because when you are the reckless aggressor as Rogue wants to be, the amount of total tempo you can get out of a turn 2 dagger is very, very strong when you're disregarding your own health total.
We see there, the road here for Purple was actually beating Wuya twice, and then he lost Jason Joe in between that. And obviously, as we just saw earlier today, taking down Tom. And they're playing Jason Joe again in the finals.
There's a trend we noticed with Purple. He, of course, had a 10-0 record to qualify for this event coming through the playoffs. And after he had hit the qualification point, after he'd won his win and in-game in top 4, we saw a huge wave of relaxation go over him. He started playing much faster, and he started playing much more disrespectful as Barnes nails the Ken Bloodhoof from Purple. By disrespectful, I don't mean BMing his opponent, I mean he just disrespected his opponent's options, just played cards and hit face in his own words.
Yeah, and this is pretty huge here. Greetings, friend. The smiles between both players here. And I think that's passed on between all 4 of these competitors that are left. The road to the Worlds is done for them. They are going to make it. And they're just really enjoying these Hearthstone matches now.
Disgusting and inappropriate BM from Purple. I think he should be banned from the Hearthstone Championship Tour immediately.
Sarcasm. I
mean,
hope.
If anyone could not hear the sarcasm in my voice just then.
There will be people.
That's true.
I am awaiting the tweets. This Ken is huge though. On one hand, Ken is just a great minion to get out of Barnes anyway because of the death rattle into the 4-5. But also, you know, Ken's just a great target for that Thrall. If there's an option that Thrall, Purple really wants to just get Thrall down that early, probably not going to go for it, doesn't need to, especially with Maelstrom Portal being so good this turn. But just having Ken, or now Bane, on the board is just an extra high mana cost minion at this point.
It's been a while since I've really been up on my Ken metagame, but isn't Bane a 4-drop? It's been a while. It's like
I have no answer to that
way
question.
back in the old school Druid days.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Still pretty high mana cost.
Right, sure. I was not sure of that by any means. It's way back in like the original Innovate Yeti, Innovate Ken Druid days that I knew how much mana Bane Bloodhoof cost.
Good job production, on point as always.
Thank you.
Saving us. And the Emerald Hive Queen. A little bit awkward. Purple can trade it away into the SI7 agent, but that is not even close to a good trade for him at the moment. Don't take the value trade.
Yeah, Thrall time.
Okay.
The implications of Death Knights not being minions are actually quite far-reaching when you break them down. There's Dirty Rat that comes into effect. Wow.
The implications of a 2-8 taunt is actually quite far-reaching.
Yes, there's Dirty Rat that comes into effect. There's Death Grip from Lich King that comes into effect, and just there you see another niche case.
Can't polymorph it.
The Emerald Hive Queen. Can't polymorph it.
That taunt is a big problem, and one of I honestly think maybe the key card in Tempo Road, Vile Spine Slayer. Not here for Surrender at this moment in time. He cannot clear this up very easily at all. Does have a Ken of his own though.
Yeah, he had to pay 6 mana for his though.
His is a 4-5 though. That's true. Purple's only a 1-1.
Both still got a 4 mana 4-5 inside them though.
So many options.
I like to think we've all got a 4 mana 4-5. I think I've just broken Sol, it's great. Aya, not available to be able to play with Transmute Spirit on the same turn, so he's just going to gain the Jades. Never a huge problem though, and even Doppelgangster at this point without Evolve. He's still Doppelgangster, Evolve one of them with this hero power.
I don't think this was ever an Aya turn. You quite happily take your 6-drop here. Your other 2 2/2s are protected behind now 2 big taunt minions, meaning it's backstabs and SIs that can get to those, and we've already seen 1 SI being used from Surrender, so just turn by turn, if Purple doesn't end the game in the meantime, he'll be able to just ramp up those doppelgangs.
Yeah, and you're about to witness the exact reason Ken is played in this deck is, guess what? Ken on 6 into a Bone Mare on 7 is an extremely strong turn, and now those big taunts in the way were still a problem and are still a problem. A much lesser one now. A massive Ken can just chunk through them both.
Well, no Devolve is the good news for Surrender. But good news for Surrender is few and far between right now.
You can get a decent amount of work done with double Bone Mare, as in one after the other. Ken's not going anywhere anytime soon.
It might be.
That's a lot of body, basically, to get some work done on these minions. There's only 1 evolve per turn at this point. The second Doppelgangster is very vulnerable.
Yeah, if you're Surrender, though, you're still concerned about how easily, you know, Flame Tongue or Bloodlust effects chew through this board.
You are concerned, but one of the benefits is I don't think there's much you can do about it if it happens.
Oh, sure.
So at least he can be worried about it happening, but he can still make the best plays possible here. Like I said, second Bone Mare on this board is probably going to stick here. It's going to make the same problem again for Purple. He just go for the Bloodlust here. Purple only running one, which is important to keep track of.
Yeah, I like this Bloodlust play. That's why I wanted to bring it up. It allows you to value trade down the board. You still get a free attack with one of your doppelgangsters that you can then evolve. Doesn't quite get towards the average stats. Slightly below with the 4-5 there, but still evolving a 2-2 into a 4-5 that got to connect to base for 5 as well. That's still a big win for you.
Yeah, finally, though, Surrender with the Valspine Slayer draw means that he cannot play Firefly Dagger Slayer. Kill the 4-5, dagger into the 2-1, and I believe that is a little bit better for him. He could have gone Shaku Slayer, but that just leaves the 2-1 up for no good reason. The dagger's going to get value in the next couple of turns anyway. It is really not worth it.
And crucially, you have to finish your plate once you're playing against Thrall. When you're playing against the Death Knight form, you can't just leave minions injured because they get immediately refreshed. You have to focus in on individual minions, kill them one by one, try not to present value trades for the minions that remain on the board. That's how you stop the insane value being generated.
It is frustrating when you're playing against Shaman and you just keep refreshing the minions. They normally hit harder as well. Just a bit of a pain. Another Bone Mare, now Backstab and Cold Blood. So Surrender is piecing together the options here that can go for the bigger swing turns and try and battle back on this board. Fortunately, though, with Rogue at the moment not playing, Fan of Knives, not really spell damage either, it means that, clearing this board didn't used to be the biggest deal in the world for, say, Miracle Rogue. But Tempo Rogue doesn't really have that available. They're more focused on singularly dealing with minions and then using, being ahead by one minion as a big advantage.
So many
Honestly,
options.
even, against Miracle Rogue and Quest Rogue when it was in the metagame, this was the kind of board you would try to develop against them. Just a bunch of 2 and 3 health things across the board, and then just cycle as hard as you can for Bloodlust. That was how you won most of the time. It's so hard for Rogue to deal with this kind of situation now that we have to press F to pay respects to Blade Flurry.
To bring that back. Let's just do all the damage and oil.
Can you imagine this deck with Oil Flurry? Are you serious?
I imagine it in my nightmares, Subtle.
Okay.
That is another big taunt down to that second Bone Mare, and Surrender still has gas in the tank with the Shaku and Cold Blood, so not quite burnt out yet.
Amazing.
Gas in the tank, though.
Amazing turnaround for Surrender, though, as Purple whiffs on the Evolve. It's a 1-1. Surrender looked down and out of this game at one point.
Vilespine's a really good card.
Yeah, the combination of Vilespines and Bone Mares have essentially flipped
With
the series
Ken.
back on its head, yeah.
I think if Ken came down one turn later, game ends. It was just in time. Again, Surrender with some flexible options here, depending on what he wants to do. He can clear a lot of this board off, especially because you got a 1-1 from that Evolve. Seen both players there a little bit earlier on as well, just do the sort of cheeky peeks over the monitors, and Purple is a huge fan of playing against his opponents in person across from the desk.
Playing Hearthstone Live, you can actually use your cards in certain ways to actually get reactions of your opponent. Actual facial expressions from your opponent will actually give you intel on what cards he's holding or what he's planning to do.
A lot of players, that impacts a lot of players more than you think, or more than they think, actually. There's very few that have said they even think about things like that. They say, I want to fully focus on the game. Purple's like, no, I'm not trying to put you off, get reads, anything you can do.
We saw it earlier. He literally looked over the monitor and asked Tom60229 which secret he played.
Pretty glorious. Okay, another taunt, not bad. There's the well played.
Yeah, he just doesn't see it happening. Feels like he's going to lose the board, and that's the big deal. Slowly but surely, Surrender has been picking the board advantage apart from Purple, and this is the turn where it flips on its head entirely, and then Purple just has no more targets to try and hero power down.
Yes, Surrender's just about been able to do it. This wasn't, having a flurry of options and just, overwhelming your opponent. Surrender's barely had turn-by-turn, card-by-card enough to battle back. That it looks like he has. I don't know what singular card Purple can even draw at this point that would bring him back in this game, and it's all off the back of Cairn into Bone Mare, an exceptionally strong combo, and then the Vile Spine not coming too late. Not the taunt, but it is the game, as Surrender takes the first game over Purple with the Rogue.
Purple rubs his eyes, plays with his hair, tries to recant that game and figure out exactly where it all went wrong because it looks so powerful. He was even throwing out a little bit of tactical BM with the Barnes into Cairn early on, but didn't quite make it over the line.
Yeah, that's only game number 1 of a potential full series here on the first semi-final. Don't go anywhere, we'll be back with the rest of the series.
BlizzCon 2017. Watch the opening ceremony and eSport events free starting November 3rd.
Gather round the fire, for there's a new tale to be told. 2017 Hearthstone Summer Championship.
Surrender currently leading in the first semifinals 1-0 over Purple. Bit of a back and forth game, but Surrender managed to flip it round there and actually finish it up. And is this going to be the story of this series, maybe?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, the lineups are fairly similar. There's kind of just that Paladin thrown in there where Purple has the Shaman. That's kind of the difference that we're looking at. And that difference, Purple Shaman has already fallen to 1 defeat. So, you know, can that be the story of this series? Will Surrender's Paladin get through easier than Purple was able to do with the Shaman?
Yeah, I think Shaman day 1 was actually quite surprising.
Sorry. We've just had this clarified by the sound.
Yeah, it's Shaman.
Can you just hold us the sign one more time just to make it clear? It's right there. Ben Brode says Shaman.
I can't see it from here.
Yeah, the lights are out. That didn't really work.
It's always nice to meet a fan, though. Thank you. So moving on with this game, Surrender on the Priest and Purple on the Druid. What do you think of this matchup overall? Because I hear a lot of different opinions. It depends on builds, of course.
It does.
But overall, how would you summarize it?
Where to begin, Raven?
This is why I'm asking, because it happens a lot.
How long have you got?
Ask these two.
It's all right. It's got a lot closer since the nerf. First things first. That's moved a few percentage points in Priest favor. I still think it's Druid favored, but I still think it's Druid favored based on what I believe to be the strongest ladder list, which, in my opinion, is pretty much card for card what Surrender has brought. Everyone else has kind of gone a little bit anti-aggro with it. They're playing the Doomsayers, the Dirty Rats, those kind of things. Primordial Drakes as well. You know, believe it or not, like Primordial Drake kind of weakens your matchup against Priest a little bit because it's just not enough pressure. It's this old myth of like, oh, there's just a 4-8 on the board that Priest can't kill.
4 damage.
Well, guess what? While you have a 4-8 on the board, they'll just kill your face instead, right? Like, you have to have, you know, the most impactful, highest tempo swing, greediest version of the deck to keep pressure pushing out significantly. With all that said, I still think most any given build of J-Druid is still slightly favored against Priest, but what I will say is that the best Priest players are getting better and better at closing that gap and bringing it back towards 50-50.
Okay, well, Purple has been innovating at Priest a fair chunk, so he'll probably play this matchup a million times. So let's see how he approaches it from the Druid side as Surrender drops down the Glimmer Root. It's a cheeky ultimate infestation. Now Purple knows there's a Druid card there. On average, not expecting this kind of power level of Druid card.
No, on average, the card a Glimmer Root gives you from J-Druid is pretty terrible. You know, there's Wraths and Swipes that don't really do a great deal. There's 4-mana Razorfen Hunter. That is an option that you can get out of the deck. So, you know, Ultimate Infestation, or as we saw in a previous matchup, Thought Steal into Fandral and Nourish. You know, those aren't things that are expected to happen all that often.
Wish to live forever.
Purple so far not really done anything huge in the ramp department, but now those things are about to change with double Ultimate Infestation and a second Nourish. You get there very quickly. And that's what he'll want to do. He'll want to just play Ultimate Infestation as soon as possible and then build on that. But already Surrender is piecing together a pretty strong hand. He's kind of got a lot of the main tools, missing Raza, of course. But other than that, it's looking really strong. And when he has his own Ultimate Infestation, the moments where, oh, Raza was bottom 7. Well, if you draw 5 with 1 card, you're going to get to that bottom 7 very, very quickly indeed.
Tempo Lyra, trying to discourage Purple from just going on his merry way here, creating a board objective that Purple might feel like he needs to deal with. Also getting value out of a 5 health minion before Purple is able to play Ultimate Infestation, which is a big deal as well.
Okay. It's really nice. When you can tell they're going for it with the heavy ramp, you just go, right, what makes Ultimate Infestation or getting to it as annoying as possible? And that's generally what you try to do, because anything else doesn't really get you there a lot. As you saw earlier, the scores from the quarterfinals.
Jason Joe picking up the win over Old Boy. Experience really showing in that one, I believe. Surrender coming here through route of taking out Empanizado in a very, very narrow matchup, and then Purple over Tom 60229 in our opening match of the day.
Yeah, Empanizado has impressed a lot of people that's playing this tournament. Pros, audience, home audience, us, everyone. He's a name we gotta keep an eye on. But Surrender is the guy who took him down. looks like he's in a reasonable position to take purple down so far, being one up in the series. Now there's a shuffle for Jade Idols with, like, on this turn as well, is huge. Now the Ultimate Infestation, drawing so many cards, is pretty likely to draw a Jade, as he's not even played the first Jade Idol
He's not.
yet.
No,
So
exactly.
he has 4 in the deck now.
Yeah, slightly unorthodox play probably in the eyes of some onlookers, but he just wants all of those Jade Idols in his deck right now so that his Ultimate Infestation allows him to make the most powerful play on the following turn. You know, if he draws a Jade Behemoth and a Jade Spirit, well, great. He can play a Jade Behemoth and a Jade Spirit on the next turn. If he draws a couple of Jade Idols and then one of those cards as well, that's just an incrementally bigger board that he can create.
Yeah, and what you need to do versus Priest, especially once Anduin is live, is making one big Jade a turn and going, hey, pass. You know, that's not good enough versus Priest because they can probably either kill you or kill it every turn, and it's not fast enough. You need to present them with a board that they either clear or die. And that's what you do every turn, and what Purple's looking to do. There's one Jade Idol. There's all the green you could need in the hand there. One Jade Idol, one Behemoth, still got the Jade Spirit in hand as well. So at least that's a good start for this Jade push.
It's a start. It's not as good as it could have been. And Purple is a long way behind on tempo here because he was fully dedicated to ramp, whereas Surrender just had a strong tempo start. And one of the keys, really, that we haven't really touched on, we talked about this when we cast Surrender's last series, the Cabal Talon Priest. Not an automatic inclusion, but it's a great tempo card. It's why we haven't really seen it since Dragon Priest disappeared. But against Druid, one of the key ways you can get an advantage is just to play dudes and beat them up.
I honestly want to go back through the VODs of this whole tournament for Surrender, and I'm pretty sure every time he's played Talon Priest, it's been a pain for his opponent to deal. They've just not really dealt with it that well, and it's got X amount of value. And I think that value is very, very high.
So, Raven. Yes. Tempo Velen. Thoughts? Concerns?
That's a tough one, isn't it?
Oh, yes. I love it so much. You're not playing Anduin next turn. It's not happening. The Jades aren't big enough for it to be a thing. You don't have Raza up. There's no real upside to play
There's no
Anduin.
Raza changes that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So therefore, let's get value out of this 7/7 that Druid is going to have to either not kill or dedicate their entire turn to killing. Okay. And if they don't deal with it, you're just pushing lethal. Love this play.
Is there consideration here for spreading Plague into some form of Doomsayer turn?
Yes. Specifically, spreading Plague and Doomsayer.
What's the other two?
Not
Not going for it, though. Going for the Behemoth. Wants to get the Jades cooking, I guess, because as you can see,
fair point.
That's a 1/1 Jade.
Yeah.
You can have 5 Jade Idols in hand. If you're still at 1/1s, it's not going to get you anywhere fast, or fast enough, should I say, for Surrender.
So he has Mind Blast for 10, Holy Smite trade into the 3/6 is the most efficient push of damage, leaving him with 17. He's 2 off lethal this turn.
I must consider.
Still 1 turn away from that Ultimate Infestation. But is Purple going to heal enough in that time?
I hope you like my invention.
Ooh. Changed a few things. Not if he's playing to... Well, that's the bridge turn, right? If you play Kazakus next turn, maybe into a 5-mana or a 1-mana potion.
Sure.
That can be the bridge turn between the Ultimate Infestation. It's also very unlikely that your opponent would play one and a second one so soon after, purely because of hand size issues.
Purple wincing very heavily as the Kazakus comes down. He knows exactly what the implications of this can be. Summon a friendly gain 2 health.
Told you!
At this board that
Talon
Purple
Priest
is now facing down.
Talon Priest, best card in the deck.
I think Purple just mouthed to himself, well, that's bad.
Top level analysis. He should be on the desk, not us. What does Purple do? Hope that Surrender doesn't have horror.
Yeah. That's a good starting point.
Wait a second. It's pretty good hope. It doesn't look like Surrender plays horror.
Oh no, he's playing Orkanite
Yeah.
Circle instead, right?
I was like,
yeah. You're right.
Something just rang a bell in there. I was
Right.
like, I hope it doesn't draw horror. I'm like, well, it's pretty hard to draw if it isn't in your deck.
I must consider.
So this turn's a lot safer than it would look in general versus a priest in this position. Still, though, by no means is Surrender in a completely rough spot here. Does need to consider when he plays this Mind Blast, though.
Pass me that arc-light scanner.
Sure. That's a 5/5.
Is there any merit in not playing Mind Blast this turn? Lyra was already played.
Yeah, you do have Anduin in your hand, and it's a cheap spell with Anduin, but you're not getting you're not getting the damage back that you invest through Velen by saving it for an Anduin hero power.
The only problem now is playing Mind Blast actually blocks out the heal this turn.
Yeah.
And with a board full of minions on higher than normal health, you kind of want to keep them like that. But I'm with Surrender here. I don't think you can pass 10 guaranteed damage when you have Anduin, when you have Ultimate Infestation, and even Silence, no matter what you look at for Raza, is a 0 mana deal 2 spell.
You know the things I would do for a 1-mana Pyroblast Raven?
I don't want to know.
No, you don't. It's a dark place.
Yeah.
3/3, 4/4. He hasn't even started to challenge the Shadow Reaper Anduin. Hasn't even started to ask for it yet. Let alone the Dragonfire Potion. Let alone the other options that Surrender could have to start clearing away these board states. In the meantime, he's having to respect the threat of Surrender's board coming through at him.
I don't just Anduin now anyway. First he kills his own. Maybe this is the Ultimate Infestation turn, and next turn you look at Anduin. Oh, well, that's also pretty good. Okay, reduce the minion that's tradable on the board then is going to get some kind of good trade for purple. Surrender's going to draw a lot. You can see purple's face now where he's like, yeah, Ultimate Infestation's pretty good card, fair play. You got me. And this is, imagine if Ultimate Infestation was a priest card. That is also a scary place to live in.
It's a lot less scary than it being a druid card.
To me, it's nearly the same.
Okay, well, priest actually takes 10 turns to have 10 mana. That's the difference.
Okay, sure, okay.
Yeah.
They're both on a 10 mana turn.
Sure. Purple shake of the head. Seeing a bit of a lost cause in front of him right now.
Let's just trade Anduin, go. Next turn you go Raza. Oh, let's keep this 5/3 up.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, preloading Raza is obviously good because you get more out of it in the following turns.
Right, and you also get a chance to just the natural lethal setup this way because yeah, you push extra damage. You can just silence this taunt out of the way, slam face again, and you just have such a clean and natural lethal setup. But the following turn, yeah, purple wants no part of this. Sees no win condition. Surrender is going to be the one going out to a 2-0 lead, looking to throw a spanner in the works of that dream final between purple and orange.
Yeah, I definitely think it's key to note, though, that I'm not exactly sure of how many, but I'm willing to have a strong guess at most of the matches in this whole tournament have gone 3-2. So I'm not going to hold back, and I think purple definitely has a chance of coming back into this series, but Surrender is not to be messed with, and a 2-0 lead isn't either. He only has the Paladin left. Paladin been, I would say, overperforming what our expectations in this tournament.
I think that's fair, yeah. This is a very aggressive version from Surrender, substituting Righteous Protectors for Grimscale Chums for a little bit of extra power early on. The Blessing of Kings are all packed in there. No comeback mechanisms. Curator package with dragons as well. So if it gets off to a good start, it can be very resistant to the Dragonfire potions, etc. that Priest will want to throw at it.
Yeah, it'll be a big deal for Surrender if he can 3-0 purple to get to the finals of the Summer Championship. But just before we give him that chance, let's find out a little bit more about the guy from Korea.
Well met.
제 이름은 서렌더.
Hi, I am Surrender. I'm 20 years old from South Korea.
제가 제일 좋아하는 카드는
My favorite card is Leroy Jenkins.
Leroy Jenkins.
한국 음식도 좋아하고 서양 음식도 좋아해요.
What's my favorite food?
저는
Well,
굳이 꼽자면
I like Korean food and I like Western food.
서양 음식.
So I'd like to mix both of them. So I'd like Western fried chicken cooked Korean style.
At least I have chicken.
제가 손 안 할 때는 저는
Even when I'm not playing Hearthstone, I'm playing Hearthstone. I watch streams, research how to make better decks.
특별하게
Before a big event, I'll even dream about playing
큰
Hearthstone.
대회가 있는 때
It means I'm more focused and ready to take on a big event.
You know what, Surrender? 4-mana Leroy was my favorite card too, before it got there. Nerfed just a little bit to the 5 slot.
It's all right. Don't go searching for a blog post. There's no balance patch. Leroy isn't back to 4. It's fine.
It's an imbalance patch.
Yeah, there you
go. So yeah, this is going to be potentially the last game of this semifinal number 1. Surrender on the Murloc Paladin at a 2-0 start over Purple. Purple moving over to the Priest. Very similar opening hand we saw from Surrender in his previous series versus Empanizado. He chose to hold on to the Fincher.
The difference here, though, is that rock pool hunt.
I mean, yeah, 1 into 2 is pretty good.
That was not present before. It made it a much more difficult position and a much more passive opening from Surrender. This is blowout city at this point, and Purple has a pretty attractive looking opening himself.
And maybe a powered shield.
Oh, that's enormous.
Surrender choosing not to keep Fincher this time. Oh, hang on. Surrender kept Fincher in the
Kept Fincher
Paladin.
in the Paladin mirror, yeah. He was also going first, so about as different a situation as you can get.
Nah, still Fincher. Still Murlocs.
This
still
hand,
Paladin.
This hand has improved by an order of magnitude from what was already a pretty solid-looking hand to begin with. The Doomsayer and the Shadower Pain back-to-back are looking like Purple could just begin the comeback trail here. See, Surrender has given a nod to potential Doomsayers in the metagame with that Spellbreaker that he has. But crucially, one of the tech cards that often fits into this very aggressive Paladin deck is a Crazed Alchemist. And it's usually in that spot where we're looking at a Spellbreaker right now. That could have been a Crazed Alch top deck.
It really could have, yeah. But you wonder, like, how much... It would have only been a 2-2 on the board. Better than nothing, but still a 2-2.
And he would have kept his initial Murloc and had a Murloc to buff this turn with Rockpool Hunter.
That's true. Sorry, yeah. I actually just couldn't see the Rockpool Hunter from the angle I was sat at, so that's my bad. I'm going to lean forward so I can see it.
Sit up straight, Raven. This is important.
I actually was.
Slouch forward, Raven. This is important.
There we go. There we go. That's better. Normally, Redemption is the pick versus Priest because you're not normally battling, minion battling for the board here. But there are a few minions there, so maybe Noble Sacrifice is more of a nod here for Surrender. Just help him fight back onto the board.
It's very tough. They're almost identical in this scenario, apart from the fact that Redemption can walk into the Pyromancer, whereas the Noble Sacrifice minion can't really interact with the Pyromancer. You know, it is just a challenge that will hit something for 2 in melee combat. So I would favor the Noble Sacrifice a little bit here, but the Redemption for me is a longer term plan. It's not something that he's going to use to try and scrap for the board right now. Also, there's the indication that 4-3 going into Wild Pyromancer there is not a great feeling. That's always a possibility in his considerations as well.
Yeah, and there's the Alkanized Sword Priest there for Purple, and just the pain to be able to deal with this 3-4. So the Acolyte will trade into the 3-1, but also Surrender just has a Cobalt Scalebait next turn, which is actually going to be pretty difficult to deal with. Although Purple has a fantastic opening, and it defended this aggression very well, he is simply running out of cards at this point, especially because we can see the cards. Potion of Madness is good for getting some work done on smaller minions, but then when you look, Velen, Anduin, and the Soul Priest, it kind of like either unplayable or just tickles the Cobalt Scalebane at this point.
Yeah, it's the Scalebane that's now landing on an empty board as well, which, you know, really does offset some of its power. So I'm wondering whether we see War Leader Hero Power in this spot to kind of give more flexibility, more of a wider range of board for Blessing of Kings, for Cobalt Scalebane to then buff a minion. Nope, never mind. Jams the 5/5.
Your opponent's got so few cards, and if they end up like death in this, then like, you know, fine to a certain extent. They have a 3-mana turn after death. And then you can just follow it with more stuff. You can get the War Leader Hero Power and Redemption next turn.
Holy Smite draw is pretty decent reason to play the Orkanai there. Just try and make the 5/5 go into the 3/5, then finish it off with Holy Smite.
I wonder, you're probably afraid of buffs though, right?
Of course you are.
One Spite Ridged, 2 Blessing of Kings in this list for Surrender. Suddenly though, it's just double Murlocs that play now. Don't have to worry about the Hero Power and the Redemption.
Yep.
Play both Murlocs, make them as sticky as possible, and the Scalebane's of course going to buff them at the end of the turn. Then you have double Blessing, then you have Tyrium into Redemption. You have a lot of options as Surrender going forward if this board cannot be cleared. Smite and the trade from the Novice though is actually really nice to kill this 7/3.
For sure, yeah.
If it was on any other minion, that would be quite difficult.
Yeah, Surrender would have greatly preferred to see that Scalebane buff go onto the War Leader instead, although he does have to think about Shadow Reaper Anduin implications. But there are potential 200 IQ plays available where you can Sunkeeper Tarim your minions back down going into the Shadow Reaper Anduin turn.
I think if Surrender is in a position to get a big attack off this turn, I think I would do that. It's one of the best feelings when you face a Breeze Hike on ladder. You straight into that turn 8, you're like, nope, no kills for you. Whether they have it or not, it's satisfying. Was the kill that was opened up, as you rightly mentioned, by the Orkanai Soul Priest with the Hero Power and the Smite. So that Smite what did get the work done, especially because the 1/1 couldn't be cleaned up. Still a lot of damage though.
Oh, it's so beautiful. You value trade, you Tarim your minions back down, you play Redemption. The Scalebane will rebuff one minion into the range of being killed by Shadow Reaper Anduin, and then the Redemption will revive that minion straight back again.
That looks like a good turn to me, so not to Surrender though.
Cast Division in full effect. I mean, that play is extremely good against Shadow Reaper Anduin in particular, and actively detrimental to your board against every other turn.
Something mildly detrimental though, right?
You take 4 power off the board immediately.
You gain a lot of that back the next turn in a world where Anduin doesn't live. Sorry, Anduin isn't live.
Elaborate?
Reduce and the dragon buffs it back up again.
Yeah,
so
but
it would have
that
buffed it
dragon
even
is
more,
buffing
but,
anyway, so that's not a factor.
I like it.
It just would have been hype. I really would have loved to see it.
Good thing here now is this board is a little bit awkward from a Dragonfire point of view, especially with the secrets down. The Scalebane was on the board first, so the Redemption is going to bring the Scalebane back, and there is no 0-mana hero power. So Purple gains 5 armor from an Anduin this turn, but then loses it straight away. And Surrender gains a buff if he plays a minion on his own.
Yeah, and actually the position he put himself in, because the buff hit the 1/1 and not the 2/2, the position he ended up with actually ended up very, very nice against Shadow Reaper Anduin as well, because if you said that the Redemption trigger works out very nicely for him, and then he keeps an additional 4/1 as well because of the location of the buff.
Without the heal, well, with the heal, this is going to be 3 off lethal. Whew. Just jam the double Blessed Kings. And I want to see a 1 minion. It's actually normally the play versus Anduin. You stack everything onto 1. I think, again, it's just another card that breaks the Hearthstone rules of learning. Where you're like, no, you spread your buffs around so they can't remove one. It's like, well, Anduin removes them all, so...
Well, in this spot, no, because Anduin is already killing 2 minions, so you might as well put the buff on one of each of them. That way you are playing around Shadow Word Death.
Sure, you don't buff up the lower one.
Yeah.
Was my key point, yes. And we might not go for it at all. How confident are you in Megasaur getting poisoned? If you even want to go for it, because then that that hands you an Anduin turn.
Sunkeeper Tarim kind of always gives poison in this spot.
It's true. Hit for 10, Hero Power Sunkeeper.
Looks like the play to me.
Yeah, it looks like what he's going for. Then the Blessed of Kings, even though I've seen one pain already from purple, so that's gone. So then the Tarim just being a 3/7 is often difficult enough to deal with it as it is with one pain gone. This means that a double Blessed of Kings, even just on the Tarim, if that's the only minion alive, is going to be enough. Kazakus can work wonders, especially when there's a 5-mana option. Surrender leaning forward, quick eyes over at purple there going, well, I guess this is your last shot. Let's see what happens. This could be a 3-0 victory for Surrender. Probably the most one-sided, at least, score outcome we've seen all weekend.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, Surrender outplayed us both. He found the 200 IQ plays. His initial setup into the Anduin turn was fantastic. Then he made the play we were talking about immediately afterwards, threatening lethal with the double Blessing of Kings afterwards.
Well, that's 9 power on the board, and tell you what, that's an additional 8 in hand with double Blessing of Kings. Surrender is going to be your first finalist for the Summer Championship, taking purple 3-0. What a performance from Surrender.
Yeah, fantastic. Woo. Some of his insight, some of his ways of just looking at some of those very tense board situations, the way he was able to grab initiative back in the rogue game early on against Shark.
Yeah, that was insane, actually.
And then his sequencing through Shadow Reaper Anduin, as well as various other possible removal effects as well at the end of that game, was just phenomenal.
And it's just a continuation of what we saw in the same from Surrender versus Empanizado. The sequencing, the foresight just to see ahead and see exactly how he wants the game to go. Very, very strong play. And as you can see, and as I mentioned, is the first finalist. He will be going up a little bit later on against the winner of our next match, Jason Zhou versus Orange. Cannot wait for this. So many matches, but only a few left now.
Yeah, what a road to get here as well. That match against Empanizado, as you said, and then picking up that incredible win over Purple. Purple perhaps being the standout performer of this entire tournament, and Surrender just kind of took him to school.
Yeah, very impressive. Just as we mentioned, just down to sequencing. I feel that Surrender is very comfortable with that Paladin deck. A deck that we've not seen too much from a lot of the other players, but Surrender making it work. But he's now ready on stage with Frodan. Let's take a listen.
Surrender, that was really quick and easy. It seemed like you were having a lot more fun. You were smiling a lot more. So what was the mentality, like what were you thinking during that series?
좀 이번 경기는 많이 편한 것 같은데 그 이번 경기는 어떤 마음으로 좀 경기를 하셨나요?
사실 저한테는 8강 매치가 제일 중요한 매치였기도 하고 게임 시작 전에 대기할 때 퍼플 선수가 그냥 즐기자고 해가지고 그거 영향 받아가지고 그냥 즐길 수 있었던 것 같아요.
Definitely, I was less nervous with the previous match, and actually, Purple, like just before the match, he said, "Let's have fun," and then I think that's why we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it looked like you were definitely relaxed up there as well. Now you're going to be going to the finals. A lot of people were saying they wanted Purple versus Orange for like color wars. So that narrative is dead, thanks to you. But I think you're able to now go to the finals, which is really cool because a lot of people were expecting good things. So my question becomes, who do you want to play in the finals? You have Jason Zhou and you have Orange.
그 이제 결승전에는 누구랑 상대하고 싶으세요?
오렌지 선수요. 저 오렌지색 좋아하기 때문에.
I want to play Orange because my favorite color is orange.
Oh, there you go. Let's give it up for Surrender, who's going to the grand finals of the Summer Championship. Send it back over to Silo and Raven.
Surrender clearly has a future as a caster, knowing he has to keep the color narrative alive to give us something to talk about.
It's like, I can't have purple versus orange, but now orange is my favorite color, so let's go.
Yeah.
Pretty funny stuff from Surrender there. Just, I'm glad that they enjoyed the match there, and Purple saying, let's just have some fun, let's enjoy some Hearthstone. We're all going to Worlds. Let's see what happens. And definitely was a great match, even though it looked so one-sided. It was great to watch. A lot of up and down moments for both players, and a lot of smiles and a lot of laughs. This is what Hearthstone is about. This is the first semi-final with Surrender being purple 3-0. We've got the second semi-final coming right up, so don't go anywhere.